What? Hey, how's everybody doing? This is Mark Brody back here on the next episode of Coffee Talk with Brohawk. And I have the distinct pleasure of having with me today Sydney Marshburn. And Sydney, interestingly, Sydney's mom and I grew up together. And I've been following Sydney's story over the last 10 years, it seems like. And it's been so motivational and whatnot. And I'm like, I cannot let another day go by where I don't have you as a guest on my Coffee Talk with Brohawk podcast. So Sydney, welcome. Can you tell our viewers a little bit about yourself? What are you up to these days?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. So, I am currently, as of January 25th, the Events and Outreach Manager for the Range of Motion Project. And the Range of Motion Project, we go by ROMP. We are a nonprofit organization that provides high quality prosthetic care to people who would not be able to access it otherwise. We currently work out of the United States, Ecuador, and Guatemala. Our mission is mobility for all, and we truly believe that in most cases, disability is not due to a medical impairment or a condition that someone's diagnosed with. We believe that it's more about the lack of access to care. And so we try to fix that. We try to get people back to their independence. So we have little kids who will get a foot and they'll be so excited they'll go play soccer with their friends. And we have adults that, they'll get their limb and they'll be able to go back to school, become a lawyer, work on their family land. Like, we really want people to become mobile and gain that independence. And so that's kind of what we're all about. And then my other job is with a company called Click Medical, and
Okay.
Click Medical makes an adjuster dial for prosthetic sockets so that they can shrink, they can compress, they can, just be adjustable, which is
Okay.
really, really helpful. I think maybe your viewers are probably like, oh, well, why is she does a lot with prosthetics. Is she a prosthetist? The answer is no. I think I have so much respect for them. And a year and a half ago, I actually lost my left leg above the knee to infection.
Mm.
And, so I was kind of just dumped in this world of limb loss. And I see it as there are so many opportunities for me to try to make it better, to reach out to people, to, mentor them. And so with Click Medical, I am the amputee mentor for their Direct to Connect program. And so I see people of all stages of life, guys, girls, older people, younger people, and I get to help them through, especially those first few humps that you get. And so
Yeah.
I'm very, very excited to be part of both organizations.
Yeah. And I follow you on LinkedIn as well, and you can see the passion and the excitement that you have for the work that you do, just in the pictures that you post and the events that you're a part of. And thank you very much for sharing a little bit about how the why behind you got involved with both of those organizations. And I think it's important for people to understand the why. It's not just that you're a great person, which you are, a nice person, which you are, but it's you have a um, you have vested interest in seeing folks who have gone through similar events or similar situations, like yourself, um, be able to navigate it effectively and efficiently. And I think that's awesome. Um, and so as someone who entered the workforce, over the past few years, because you're a pretty recent college grad also, um, you know, what went into your decision making as far as where you were going to go for a career, and was mentorship a value for you, in making some of those decisions and to move forward there?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I graduated in August of 2020, and
Okay.
then went pretty much from graduation to the operating room, and I had to have, my skull screwed on and the bad part of my spinal cord taken off. And then 11 months later, I lost my leg, and it was just one thing after another. But I was recently cleared to get back to work, to, start my life as if all the other stuff didn't happen. And I really did lean on. So, okay, I'm going to start with my major is actually in recording industry management with a concentration in music business. I went to school near Nashville. So, I thought I'd be here forever. And
Yes.
I think when you go through something, that almost shakes you to your core, you
Mhm.
have that experience, you you look at the world a little bit differently, and you start to think, where can I make the most difference? And for me, that was going the nonprofit route, and using all the things I learned from my journalism, media, PR, all of those classes to help, and getting that whole passion that I have for it, like the newfound passion, has been really exciting.
That's awesome. When you were looking at ROMP and also Click Medical, getting in as a new graduate, and I'm sure you've probably been working with people that have been working for these or been involved in these groups for years and years and years. Um, did you see anybody that really stepped up and did you have folks that really stepped up and said, "Hey, I want to take you under my wing and really show you what the nonprofit world is about because it's not for everybody."
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And I'm so lucky to absolutely adore every single person that I've like worked
Mhm.
with and like come in contact with. And the I actually got the job through Click Medical, so I got involved with them when I won a cycling race, an entry, and I went and I did 37 miles in the Rocky Mountains before my 1 year post-op. And so I'd been involved with this organization, like this company, ever since. And they reached out to Romp because they work together very closely. And they said, "Hey, we think you'd be great for this role. You should apply for it." And, it's something that I am very fortunate. Like my current boss is great. I feel comfortable asking her anything. I ask her things about my own prosthetic like life, and just I think they understand that I'm coming into this as a 24-year-old, and this is my first like big job. And they've been so patient and so understanding and so helpful too. I think something that when you're a new person in any company, but especially like a young, naive, some would say, there's this whole like, I don't want to ask the wrong question. I don't, you don't want to make yourself seem, not intelligent and incoherent. So a lot of times, we don't ask things. And, so I'm so grateful to be so comfortable with the people that I'm around that I'm okay asking questions, and it's been great.
That is awesome. So let me go back to something you just said. 37 miles a year post-op within the first year post-op.
Yes.
Heck, I know people with both of their limbs, no medical issues that would have a hard time doing 37 miles. This guy right here would be one of them. So hats off to you. That is awesome. That is awesome. Um, how did it feel to finish?
Oh my gosh, it felt great. So the last like third of the course, we ran into this big thunder and lightning storm. And like I'm made of metal. I was on a metal bike with a metal prosthetic leg. And I was like, just electrocute me after I cross the finish line. I just have to get there. And it really was a team effort. Like my mom came, and they had someone, come and help with like horsepower, and the Click Medical team came and rode next to me to help block the wind. And it really was a team effort. And I think they saw that I was determined to get to the finish line. I don't think anyone would have like faulted me if I didn't make it, but I would have faulted me. So I was like, I've got to finish, and I did. And I think they saw how determined I was, and they're like, "We're going to do whatever it takes to help you get there." And it was amazing. And I was never a cyclist beforehand either. Like
Oh my
this was my
God.
first cycling race. Yeah, I made a promise to myself in the hospital to take advantage of every opportunity that came my way. And, for me, that was signing up for a contest for a bike entry, because I never win those anyways. So I was like, yeah, I'll just, put my hand in the hat. Like I tried, and then I won, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have to get a bike now. I have to like figure this out. And, but yeah, so that the people I met through the bike race and everything, it was the gift that kept on giving, because I owe my whole career now to that bike race and to those people. So
Yeah. Well, I definitely would offer that they saw something in you that you already knew about yourself, and they just helped continue to bring it out. It sounds like, and that is awesome. That is awesome. Um, so you talked a little bit about some mentoring, in people that you work with, and sometimes mentoring, like you said, can be a little scary for people, asking for help. Um, I know when I first started in my career, it was like, well, I'm just supposed to figure this out myself and whatnot. And today it's a little bit different. Um, so embracing mentoring relationships can be somewhat different for some people. What advice would you give to someone who's looking to be mentored? They have a need to be mentored in one part of their career or another.
yeah, I would recommend going to someone you trust first. And I think remembering that, you don't have to find someone who majored in mentorship, and has all these degrees. Like, it can honestly be someone like that you trust, someone that, if I would go to you for advice, I feel like I would be okay asking you to help mentor me and, help me get on the right track and all of that stuff. So it's very much like just I think almost like finding a therapist in a way,
Uh,
not one person is going to, be the right mentor for everyone. And I think, just being vulnerable enough to go and find that person that understands you, that you're not afraid to ask questions to, that you don't think will laugh at you or judge you in any way.
mhm.
That's been very, very helpful.
Yeah, you got to have that. You definitely have to feel comfortable in that trusting relationship.
Mhm.
To make sure that, hey, you know what, if I say or do something stupid, this person's not going to, like you said, judge me for it. They're going to show me a different way to look at the same situation in the future, or help me navigate, something that you're already in. I think it's a great point. What about for someone who's looking to be a mentor? Kind of like what, maybe what the work that you're doing with that with Click Medical.
Yeah, so I would say that, if what you want to do is, become a professional mentor, you've got to start somewhere. And so, yes, I've been with Click Medical since January and it's been great, but I was mentoring people before that.
Mhm.
On my own time, I was, people would reach out to me over social media and I would help them, get through XYZ. And then I would go to the hospitals and visit patients who, I was exactly where they were a year and a half ago. So I think, a lady said, the last lady I got to see, I walked in and she said, it was the worst day of her life. She was just in a really bad place. The pain was high. And she said, but, I walked in with a smile and I walked in like on a prosthetic. And she thought that was the coolest thing. And, it's one of those, sometimes you don't even have to say much. You just got to walk in and show them, hey, your life is not over. And
Yes.
that's been very helpful. So I guess my advice would be to just start small, start on your own time, and you can work up to becoming a professional mentor.
Yeah. And I think the key thing that you kind of alluded to there was just be authentic, be
Mhm.
genuine, be yourself. Um, and you don't have to go with a clipboard and say, okay, well, this is what I would recommend for you. You just want to be that authentic self uh, and people will appreciate that more if you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Excellent.
I think
So,
there's this whole like thing about just what you post on social media or what you say to people. There's this whole mindset of, yes, you can see the bright side of things without being toxically positive. And I think
mhm,
sometimes there's a fine line between what is, what's actually helpful and everything, and being able to acknowledge the bad days, because I don't want to tell someone, oh, it's all about mindset, when it's
yeah.
not. And I think it's a big fine line. So if you can figure out how to talk to people in a way that's doesn't come across as preachy and like too positive, because that's when people start tuning you out. That's when I start tuning people out.
It's real easy to do because you're like, okay, you're talking theory here. You're not living life, you know. Oh man. So like like we like we kind of mentioned and you mentioned, I mean, you've had a lot of years of some challenges that you've had to deal with. And you've just consistently, just met them head on and have overcome every challenge that has come your way. What strategies could you offer to folks maybe watching this on how they can meet their challenges head on as well?
Yeah, I'm going to go to it really is a big mindset thing. I think if you're able to understand that, yes, I'm going to have bad days, and just keep that like little nugget somewhere in the back of your brain that like I've made it through all of the bad days I've had so far. So that's a pretty good track record. I'll get through this too. For me specifically, I know like point blank, I'm not supposed to be here. My life should have ended like short, like a year and a half ago, even like 2 years ago, right? So I'm doing everything I can to make the most of the second and third chance at life.
Mhm.
And I think it does something to you when you go through that, and it's very sobering to know that this I'm in overtime, and um, so that's kind of what helps me get up every day. What can I do for to make the world a better place in this extra time I've been afforded. I think something that, people always say, oh, well, everything happens for a reason. And I get the sentiment. I think that's great. But also it does put it back on the person. Well, why was I saved when someone else going through the same thing wasn't? And
Mhm.
so I like to look at it as, well, for whatever reason, maybe no reason at all, I'm still here. What can I do with this extra time and make the world a better place? And for me, that's been through Romp and Click Medical.
That is awesome. That is absolutely awesome, Sydney. Uh, there's a lot of resources out there for people also. I mean, um, you know, uh, the saying that you can't do it all by yourself. I mean, I think there's a lot of truth to that. Um, for folks that um, maybe a recent amputee or maybe going through, whatever struggle there is. I mean, what resources, would you recommend that people look at first and foremost, for people to hit their challenges head on, um, and you know, yeah, well, what's out there for people?
So we live in a really great time for this question, because
Hmm.
everything's Googleable, right? You're not the only person who's gone through X, Y, or Z. There are other
Hmm.
people who have done that, and so you're able to do a quick Google search. Hey, this is what I'm looking for. Here are the steps, and it's really great because. Like, speaking as an amputee, there aren't many of us around, especially where I live. So
Hmm.
being able to join those like Facebook support groups, or seeing a therapist, and a lot of it's virtual now because of COVID anyways, and so
Hmm.
it's really utilizing those resources, and being able to just like understand that, yes, I may be physically alone, but there is a whole army of people scattered around the world, and that makes it seem a lot less isolating.
Yeah.
um, and so, yeah, like Google search is probably the first place I would start, support groups in my area, or,
Yeah.
how to get past X, Y, and Z. And then a lot of those will come up with, different resources, whether they're books or videos. So we live in a great time for all of this.
I would agree. I mean, there are just so many things out there and available for people today, and and then also, just meeting people, such as yourself or others, um, and just having a conversation with them, I think is so important also, and while everything, a lot of things can be done online these days. would you agree that there's no substitute for that human connection?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I love talking to people. So I've been working at home just until I am able to move down to their warehouse location. But like last week, I was at the American Academy of Orthotics and Prosthetics, their big convention in Nashville, and it it almost drove home that thing for me. Like there are people that care. There are people that are not even affected directly by limb loss, and they're putting in all this passion and effort to make people, the lives of people like me, easier and better, and all of that. And so I think, yes, Zoom is great, and there are a lot of resources. I am 100% for, like, being with people. I get my energy from people, so
Yeah.
so it's definitely a lot harder to work at home. Like I can do it, but I'm so excited to be surrounded by people every single day.
And I would love for one of the folks at a conference that you're attending, try and challenge you to a bicycle race. I think you kick their butt. I
Maybe.
mean,
I don't know. I'm a
yeah,
little rusty.
and hey, it's just a matter of time. You know. Um, so hey, we've gotten to the point of our conversation where what I call the speed round. You ready for this?
Yes.
All right. So, what fact about Sydney would people be most surprised to learn about you?
I think, okay, so I love scary movies, and not
Okay.
in, like, so I have friends who also watch scary movies with me, but they're like, "Oh, I can't watch it before this time because I'll get nightmares or something." But
Uh-huh.
I watch them to put me to sleep. They calm me for some reason, and people are kind of surprised because they're like, "I don't know, we think of you, we think of sunflowers and, like, happy smiles and everything." And I'm like, "No, I love horror movies, and they just kind of calm me down," which is kind of
Oh
weird
my
now I say it out loud.
God. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. Yeah, yeah, horror movies and me, yeah, we're not simpatico. Uh, so where is your ideal off the grid location that you just like to go and just you can have a Zen moment or something?
Pacific Ocean, definitely. To quote the lyrics from the Lilo and Stitch movie, there is no place I'd rather be than a surfboard out at sea.
Oh, nice,
That's my happy
nice,
place.
excellent, excellent. That is. I don't know that I've ever been to the Pacific Ocean. I may have to go out to the West Coast. I've been to Seattle, so it's yeah, that's kind of the Pacific Ocean. Um, so March 14th is Pie Day, 3/14. So what is your all-time favorite pie?
So I'm not a big sweets person.
Okay.
Um, and something about pie crust, like I can't do pie crust. Maybe it's the texture, not sure. But if it's sweet potato pie filling, I'll just eat it in a bowl.
Oh, nice, nice. Yeah, the stuff that comes in the can, or does it have to be handmade?
I mean, I'm not picky, but
Yeah, it's sweet potato pie.
I mean, my mom adds the, like, special Vermont ingredients, so probably hers.
Yes. You're I I can speak for experience. Your mom is a great cook. So going back way, way, way back in time. Uh, so if someone wants to pick your brain on mentoring, or they're going through some struggles themselves, and just need someone that may that may have gone through some similar situations. Um, how can they best contact you, or how could they reach out to you?
Yeah, so I do a lot of my outreach and like personally through Instagram. My Instagram account is Sydney M87. I was very, very obsessed with Rob Gronkowski when I made the the account, so that's where the 87 comes from. Also reaching out on LinkedIn. Like my messages are open, so I always am really excited when people come to me for questions and all of that.
Excellent. Yeah, Sydney. I mean, I feel very blessed that you were gracious enough with your time to go ahead and come and have this conversation with me. Great conversation, and hopefully, you're able to touch more people virtually by them seeing this conversation. And you've been such a virtual inspiration, for people that are just going through some rough times. And appreciate all the posts that you do, and all the sunflowers and smiles that you bring out there to social media world. It's really appreciated.
Thank
So
you. Thank you so much for inviting me. This has been like the highlight of my week. So thank you
excellent. Well,
so
no,
much.
thank you. And again, if you're interested in contacting Sydney, or you want me to do an introduction with Sydney, I'd be more than happy to. We are definitely connected on LinkedIn, and when she says she will respond, I mean, it's just within a couple of hours that she'll respond. So Sydney, thank you very much, and look forward to talking to you again really soon.
Thank you so much.
All right. Have a great day.